I haven't reviewed a single controller this year because I thought that I had already found the best controller for a long time. Both FlyDigi and gamesir have the best budget controllers, and honestly, the Vader 4 Pro has everything I need. Paddles, clicky buttons, and adjustable stick tension, all for less than $100, which is still insane. But gamesir sent me a controller that they had dropped a few months ago that has almost exactly the same amount of features as the Vader 4 Pro, and it's only $50. So in this video, I'm finally gonna give it a full review and tell you if it's actually any good or not. This is the Cyclone 2 from gamesir. It starts at $50, and if you want the wireless dock that comes with it, I believe it's around an extra $6. This is a multi-platform controller. It works most importantly for PC, and then Switch, iOS, and Android. Also, just to clarify, it's an Xbox layout controller, but it does not work with Xbox, probably because of licensing, so just make sure to keep that in mind. The key features we are looking at are TMR joysticks, which are said to be slightly better and more precise than Hall Effect joysticks, so on paper there will be zero noticeable stick drift anytime soon, or possibly even ever, depending on how you treat your controllers. Tactile face buttons, which will be like a clicky mechanical feel. Physical micro switches. This is like your traditional trigger stop on a Pro controller, so you'll get the option to cut almost the entire range of motion on your triggers and give them more of a button-like feel. There's a motion control feature, which is interesting, 2 remappable back paddles, a 2.4 GHz dongle for low latency wireless use, a standard headphone jack, and lastly, a performance grip. Out of the box, I would say it looks and feels way more expensive than what I would expect from a $50 controller. And here's what I initially noticed from getting my hands on it for the first time. It's just about the exact size as an Xbox controller. There's a lot of texture, which is really nice for extra grip and for absorbing sweat. The paddles are placed perfectly. They aren't hard to reach or in an awkward spot. The tactile buttons aren't really necessary, but they do add more of a premium feel, and I like them a lot along with the micro switches, which by the way are really impressive. Every button on the controller is quick, sharp, and feels like mouse clicks. There wasn't anything I was against. I like the initial feel of everything, and it felt really normal holding it in my hands. Also, it came with the USB-C cable and the metal charging dock I talked about earlier, so if you play wirelessly, I would say it's worth the extra $6. It's really high quality. Moving on to software, there's 4 different profiles to set up their own different customizations, and within each profile, you can optimize your polling rate, map or remap any buttons, tweak your left and right joysticks. I keep all my joystick settings defaulted first, but there's a lot of different little details you can tweak, like the dead zone, stick curve, stick trajectory, plus some advanced settings. Then there's a lot of motion control settings, which I don't use, but if you use motion control at all, you should let everyone else know if the settings are useful. And the last really important setting to mess with is for your triggers. My default dead zones and everything look fine with the micro switches on, but still, there's a lot to tweak, so I can always go back later and test things. And the actual last 2 pages is a fair bit of customization for vibration and lights, which is nice, but never necessary. Now onto playtesting, which is where I form my most accurate opinion of the controller. I started with Fortnite, which is probably the most advanced game when it comes to controller gameplay, and I set my dead zone to the lowest value possible and just got a feel of the controller while I was beginning to play. I'm gonna say I instantly felt handicapped because I didn't have any control over my right stick. I don't think that gamesir sells a longer analog stick attachment, so I'm pretty disappointed that there are no alternatives to feeling in control on a higher sensitivity. Now don't get me wrong, I'm just being critical, but the controller seemed perfect in every other aspect. It was responsive and it was comfortable, but like I said, I definitely did feel out of control. I was playing fine while I was practicing, but there were moments where I felt like I was struggling a little too much, so I don't think I could ever play my best on this game on the Cyclone 2 without handicapping myself. I hopped on Call of Duty next, which is a way less technical game than Fortnite, but still pretty competitive, and you can see how inaccurate I was in terms of aiming. And this is after I slowed down my sensitivity a little bit. Now, I'm in no means blaming the controller because obviously I'm not the best at Call of Duty, but I'm not gonna lie to myself and say that I wouldn't have played any better on another controller of my choice. I did feel like I warmed up a lot after a few kills, and I was doing well tracking and shooting other players who weren't shooting back at me. But once I was in a fair gunfight based off of raw aim and reaction time, I just felt like I couldn't trust my controller. I don't have much experience on Call of Duty. It was probably a little bit of nerves too. I just think I looked shaky and inconsistent all game. But I do want to add, I did feel way more confident playing this game than Fortnite. I would even go as far as to say that I would only play this game on this controller if I had the choice between this or Fortnite. I will probably never play Fortnite on the Cyclone 2 again just because I have better options. It's that simple. And let me backtrack again for the second time and repeat that this controller isn't bad at all, especially for $50. I think it's a great starter controller. I just think that there are better options when it comes to competitive, even if the game itself isn't that competitive. So by the end, I think I was doing just fine. I didn't play horrible, but I can only play about one match of Call of Duty before I'm ready to do something else. So for my third and last game, I decided to test the multi-platform and wireless features on my Switch by playing a few rounds of Mario Kart. This is probably one of the most casual settings you can use this controller in. I really just wanted to relax and play Switch, but I did get to really see how the wireless connection and latency feels, and there was honestly no noticeable delay, and setting everything up was way easier than I thought it was going to be. So I wanted to end this review on a great note because, I mean, the controller itself is still only $50, so I don't think it's foreign to have a more casual mindset in terms of gameplay. And also, I've just been pushing it with games that require more skill and accuracy, which could have gone much worse, but in the end, you gotta remember that it's just a controller. It does everything a controller its price is supposed to do with zero physical problems. And I'm gonna even be really generous and say that it has more than double the price worth of key features included. This is hands down the best gamesir controller I've reviewed. $50 last year would have gotten me the G7 SE, which isn't even close to how good this controller is. So I'm really glad I got to test it. I'm gonna be a bit bold here and say that I think this is the best $50 controller ever. And if I'm wrong, please tell me which controller is better for the same price so I can check that one out too. If you have $50 and you need a controller, stop what you're doing right now and get the Cyclone 2. But if you have closer to $100, I would say go with FlyDigi, grab a Vader 4 Pro, and you'll probably never need another controller again for a few years. I wouldn't really compare them because they aren't the same price point, but I think right now you're looking at two of the best budget controllers of 2025, if not the best budget controllers of 2025. But I still have a few more controllers to review this year, I'm sure, so don't yell at me. Anyways, I'll link both controllers down in the description to buy off of Amazon. If you want to support the channel, please feel free to use my links. And other than that, I'll see you guys next week.